Did you ever find any evidence or suggestion that anything Susan Kohler sold to Carmen Lauber contained fentanyl?
We found a bag of loose, I believe they were hydrocodone pills, in the mudroom walkway cabinet in the house. They were tested. They did not contain fentanyl.
Thank you.
We are officially in closing statements. However, I wanted to finalize day 13 for you all, which is where the state and the defense team rested. That was Detective Driscoll answering the question from the defense. Did they find any fentanyl? Was there any evidence through this entire trial that someone somewhere had fentanyl? The answer was no, unfortunately. Now, keep in mind, Corey is being accused of taking the life of her husband, Eric, because he overdosed on fentanyl, or he was given fentanyl, and that is why he passed, due to the amounts that he had in his body. Now, the medical examiner, from what I understood when he testified, there was no trace of oxy, just fentanyl in a psychotic medication. I can't think of the name right now. Another thing that they brought up is the GIFs that were in Corey's phone that were supposedly on the day that he died. However, when the digital forensic examiner spoke, he did advise that they could not specify the date nor the conversations behind when those GIFs were sent. What they do know is that on that particular day, they were opened, essentially they were accessed. What were the GIFs? Well, these are the GIFs. One of them was from House of Cards, which is everybody around me are idiots. Then you've got the other one that is President Trump saying, I'm going to be rich. And the other one is someone, I guess, crying. Can't really see that close. If you've ever seen House of Cards, that has nothing to do with this case. I don't even know why they would say, hey, this came from House of Cards. As if, what? Okay, anywho. Now, they did bring up the fact that, again, they couldn't specify when it was open or anything like that. However, one of the things that they did find that was also accessed on that same exact day were pictures of a legacy property. The property that Corey had told her boyfriend that was a big deal because she was going to make a lot of money. This was $1 million purchase. And according to her, when she revamped that house, when she flipped it, she was going to make a good amount of money. We all know that's a lie. We all know that was a lie. Homegirl was more broke than... However, she keeps a facade. So the purpose of the defense bringing that up is that she was not talking about her husband passing, but instead was talking about the fact that she, on that same day, was going to be closing on the legacy property, and it was supposed to mean millions of dollars for her and her family. Now, they also bring up the fact that the defense did not verify, additional details when it came to her mental health counseling. They brought up a journal that apparently she was keeping. And in this book, she wrote down different things that happened on the day that Eric died, and just additional details as the time progressed. The fact that her sister-in-law was across the street taking pictures on this day. The fact that the police came with a warrant on this day. It was like a journal type. I don't know what was the purpose of it, honestly. However, what we do know is that she did write down that on March, specific day, I think the end of March, she started counseling as well as her children. And at this point, the defense asked him, were you able to verify if she in fact started counseling that day? Because a lot of times, according to the defense, when people go through trauma, they're told to keep like a trauma journal, to write these things down, to remember, and to kind of let it go. And he said, no, that he did not verify. He knows that he got the medical records, but nothing specifying exactly when she started mental health counseling. Also, they asked him, is this something that you would know, being that you've dealt with homicides previously, the trauma that these victims are facing? And he said that while, yes, he's involved in homicide cases, he doesn't work closely with the victims because they refer them to the victims' advocate. That was kind of the details. At the end, the prosecution asked questions, again, with the House of Cards reference, asked him, because there was things that he couldn't answer. They asked him, were you abreast of everything that was going on, including working hand in hand with the prosecution's investigation or private investigator? And he said no. A lot of things that were transpiring on the prosecution side, they didn't work necessarily hand in hand with his team. And he was just essentially brought in to be advised of summaries, not essentially details that only his agents could really specify, which is why they were testifying there. He also shared that they did not corroborate the Valentine's Day story of, hey, he stated to friends that it was kind of jokingly that she tried to poison him and that he in fact had to use an EpiPen. He didn't verify that story. They did though confirm that her sons, one of them, also has an EpiPen that he apparently uses as needed. According to his health records, Eric's, it just showed that his allergies were according to pollen or, any type of environmental allergies, not necessarily something specific. In the next video, I'm going to go into closing statements. After this, the state rested and the defense rested too. Not one additional witness, nothing to rebuttal. Now, what we do know about trials, the defense doesn't need to do anything. The burden literally falls on the prosecution, which is why I will always praise the law firm from Texas that defended the security officer that was accused in the Uvalde shooting. Why? Because the burden falls on the state, absolutely. But they had their own witnesses. They combated every single thing, unlike a lot of defense attorneys. Something to keep in mind if you're ever in this situation. Talk to you soon.